Yeah, we found out why that was. Yeah, so he was, yeah, it was complicated. It was just
seem to have lost quite a bit of weight. Lovely Steph Rudder.
This is President, your
My
friend.
neighbours here. Steph Raddis and all of them here.
And
It's
in
lost
here
quite a bit of
somewhere.
weight since it's there, right there, standing up at the back in the middle, and then we've got, you see third row back, 1, 2, 3, fourth row behind the pink shirt man, the one that's scrappy one. Yep.
All right.
Yep. And then we've got smarter. Okay, I'll get some Agwani. Just get centered here. Let's go and see.
Big crowd.
And we thought they weren't going to come at all quieting down. I lied. Huh?
Hi.
No, what it tells me is that the year is going to up.
Who?
The year is going to up.
Oh, yeah. That's not that.
We
Rather catastrophic.
surely can.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, welcome everyone to tonight's very, very exciting annual meeting of electors, the 2nd of February 2026, and I'd like to declare this meeting open at 6:04 p.m. Start with our acknowledgement of country, which is Kaya Kaya Kadich Wajak Buja. The City of Swan acknowledges the traditional custodians of this region, the Wajak people of the Noongar Nation, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. And I and the Council would like to pay our respects to the elders past, present and their descendants. Welcome to our newly opened Ellenbrook Community Centre. It was very exciting to see it nice and fresh and painted, and we had a lovely opening on Saturday morning, so I hope you enjoy this new facility. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we commence the meeting. Should you need to exit the meeting or access any toilet facilities, just please follow the signs, and staff are at the back of the room to also assist you. Have an exit over here to the left and an exit to the right, but we'll just follow the staff's instructions. So you'll also be asked to move out of this door in an orderly fashion over here, and staff will direct, as I said, to the nearest exit and the marshalling point, which is in the car park. So please don't hesitate to ask if you're not sure where the toilets are, which are located just outside the door on the right here. And if we can help you in any way or security, just ask. The purpose of this meeting tonight is to present the 2024-25 annual report to the community. And this allows you, the electors, to have a say and ask questions on local matters. Under the Local Government Act 1995, procedures for this meeting are to be determined by the presiding member. And the procedure for public participation would have been provided to you at the registration desk, either in a hard copy or via the QR code. And it's also available on the city's website. Well, I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce your council members tonight. We have myself, the presiding member, Tanya Richardson. We have Deputy Mayor Charlie Zanino. Now these will be along, might give them a quick wave out there. Councillor Jennifer Catalano for the Altone Ward. Councillor Shannon Dean for Altone Ward, Councillor Sarah Howlett for the Midland Guildford Ward, Councillor Ian Johnson, Midland Guildford, Councillor Rochelle Podovnik for the Midland Guildford Ward is an apology tonight. We have Councillor Evia Oringo from the Pierce Ward, Councillor Aaron Bowman from the Pierce Ward, Councillor Kate McCulloch from the Pearce ward, and we also have Councillor Rod Henderson from the Swabale Gidgegannet ward. We have Councillor Mel Congerton from the Whiteman ward, who is on leave, and Councillor Hayden Miles, the Whiteman ward, who is an apology this evening. Now, in an endeavour to provide a fair and equal opportunity for all electors this evening, and my apologies, I'd just like to welcome Michelle Maynard, who is our member for Swan Hills. Where are you, Michelle? It's nice to have our local members here with us tonight. And also Councillor Maria Takiro, my apologies. Where are you, Maria? Down there. So Maria is one of our newest councillors. She's the Pearce Ward councillor as well. So as I said, in an endeavour to provide a fair and equal opportunity for all electors, those electors who have submitted motions in writing prior to the meeting will be invited to speak in the order in which the motions were received. Motions received after the deadline will be provided with a written response advising on how you may best progress this matter. Motions need to be moved, and a seconder will also be needed before any discussion is to occur. Only electors of the City of Swan are entitled to move motions or vote on motions, and each elector who is present is entitled to one vote. However, you do not have to vote. A speaker will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make their statement. The mover of a motion will be invited to speak first, and then I will call for a seconder for the motion. And any speakers against the motion will be called next. There being no speakers against the motion will be put to the vote. If there are speakers against the motion, the following debating protocol will apply. The mover of a motion will be invited to speak first, and the speaker against the motion will be invited to speak next. I'll then call for other verified electors who wish to speak with a maximum of 3 speakers for the 3 speakers against the motion. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes each. The mover of the motion has the right of reply to a maximum of 3 minutes also, and this then closes the debate. Again, the mover does not need to exercise their right of reply. If I determine that sufficient and fair debate has occurred on a motion, then I will invite the mover to exercise the right of reply and put that motion to the vote. When you registered and signed this evening, if you're an eligible voter, you will also have received a green and a red voting card. Has anyone got a green and a red one there? Hold up a red one. There you go, red and green. They're your voting cards this evening. So to vote, when I ask you to support, if you're in support of the motion, please raise your hand showing a green card. And when I ask if you're against the motion, please raise your hand and show a red card. Each motion will be determined by a simple majority vote. So please continue to hold your card high in the air until the count has been taken and concluded. For those electors who submitted questions prior to this meeting, where possible, a written response has been provided directly to you. I will read these questions and answers out during section 4, and answers to any questions will be taken on notice tonight will be provided in the minutes of the meeting. Now, if time permits, I may ask if there are any further motions or questions from the floor, and electors are permitted to ask up to 3 questions at a time. So all questions from the floor should be provided in a written format and given to the city officers, please. We'll endeavour to respond to any questions of a general nature. However, any question requiring information we are not able to provide tonight, or which requires a detailed response, will be taken on notice. The responses to all questions will be provided in the minutes of meeting. When speaking at the meeting, please, you must use the microphone provided, state your name and suburb for the recording in the minutes, address the meeting through the presiding member, limit the statement to fact and not opinion or suppositions, please. Not reflect adversely on council members or city employees, and please refrain from making repetitive comment on matters that have already been discussed, just to ensure that the meeting can progress effectively. When you're invited to speak, if you could please raise your hand and a city officer will bring you a microphone, and that'll make it easier for the people at the back of the room. I would like to ask the CEO to explain and make clear to everyone what happens next to the motions after they've been presented tonight and voted on. If you could please explain what happens after the conclusion of the meeting, Mr. CEO.
So thank you. Good evening and welcome to you all. It's nice to see a crowd out here in this wonderful new community facility. If your motions are passed tonight, a report will be prepared by staff and there's a requirement to present it to the next ordinary council meeting. So in anticipation, we would expect that to be March. It'll be covered in a single report listing those all the motions. It will include commentary on each motion and will indicate advice that staff are recommending to Council to take with each of those motions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. So I'll also just talk about, we have apology has been received for the meeting from Councillor Nav Carr of the Altham Ward as well. Now, receiving the annual report 2024-25, consistent with the section 5.27 of the Local Government Act 1995 and Regulation 15 of the Local Government Administration Regulations of 1996, the matters to be discussed at the General Electors meeting are, firstly, the contents of the annual report for the previous financial year, and then we have any general business. Welcome. The 2024-25 annual report was adopted by Council at the December 10th, 2025 Ordinary Council meeting. So I invite the City CEO, Mr. Stephen Kane, to speak to the annual report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And for those of you who had a look at this very colourful looking front cover, this is the City's annual report. So good evening, distinguished guests, our local MP, Ms Maynard, councillors, to the general public, thank you very much for your attendance tonight. And those who are watching online, welcome to the Electors meeting. So tonight, we look back on 24-25, but if I could just acknowledge that 2026 is already shaping up to be a very busy and productive year for the City of Swan. As the Mayor mentioned, it was just on last Saturday we opened this facility out here in the Ellenbrook area. And as you can see, it's a fantastic new community facility. This is just over $9.5 million worth of investment in this, or just over $9 million worth of investment in this area, made possible by grants from the federal, state, Lottery West, and of course your local council. And it's very appropriate that when we do open these facilities, we try and move the Electors meeting each year to showcase different parts of the city. So we're really lucky to be out here this evening. Also on Saturday, we took the opportunity to get down to the Swan Active Ellenbrook site, and those of you who don't know it, next to the train station in the heart of Ellenbrook, where the city is undertaking its largest ever infrastructure project, the $145 million Swan Active Ellenbrook. And as we sit here, construction has started on the main part of the project, and by December 2027, we're hopeful that Santa will have a Christmas present for the young people and, of course, anybody else who wishes to use the Aquatic Centre of Ellenbrook. We are focused on a range of community-driven projects this year. You've only got to drive along Nangara Road to see the work that's going into that $11.5 million last stage duplication. And that's one of the functions of council, improving the network as the city's population continues to expand. For those of you who don't know, we're just on 180,000 residents in Swan. We will grow to 300,000 by around 2050, and that growth is right across the city. Though we've got a couple of unique pods growing out here in North Ellenbrook, Northwest Ellenbrook, and a new suburb called West Ellenbrook, which will be coming to council later this year. Now, I'd like, though, to acknowledge in the preparation of this that you don't just build a community based on the work of staff. We're very lucky to have a wonderful group of community volunteers, of course our council members, who all contribute to the running of the city, and there's good reference to their contributions in the annual report. It has been a year of achievement. The report does acknowledge that, and what we've done is prepared a short video for you just to showcase the things that were achieved and some of the things achieved in 24-25, talk a little bit about 2026, and then give you the opportunity to come back and ask any questions you have on the annual report. So if I could ask staff, without further ado, to bring on the video. Hopefully with sound. Can we try that again with the sound? Now, I've tested it twice this afternoon. I'm told everything's working, but it's always those last minutes. It's like the Logies, isn't it? Or what was today? The Grammy Awards. There's always going to be a wardrobe malfunction somewhere at time.
The City of Swan is a place where community, innovation and opportunity come together. Where people are proud to live, work and belong. Over the 2024-25 financial year, we've achieved many incredible milestones that's helped make our city safer, greener, and more connected. Across our suburbs, new facilities and upgrades are taking shape, improving everyday life for our community. In Balladura, the new $2.9 million Hepburn Avenue and Marangaroo Drive roundabout has improved traffic flow and improved efficiency. Built using sustainable methods that recycled existing road materials, the roundabout has made travel smoother and safer for motorists. The outstanding project was awarded the Excellence in Road Safety Projects at the 2025 Institute of Public Works Engineering Australasia State Conference, a proud achievement. Construction started on the Nangara Road duplication between Henley Brook Avenue and Pinister Parade in February 2025. This $12 million project will boost traffic flow and safety and provide new shared paths, drainage, and street lighting. Another major highlight was the opening of the $6.5 million Balladura Intergenerational Play Space, Weege Park, made possible with support from the state government and Lottery West. The All Abilities Play Space, designed with residents and traditional owners, celebrates culture and strengthens community connection through spaces that invite everyone to play, exercise, and relax. It's already become a much-loved community space. Education opportunities have also expanded, with the Ellenbrook Study Hub opening inside the local library. Delivered with a $1 million grant under the Suburban University Study Hubs program, it is one of only 3 university study hubs in outer Perth. It provides students with access to modern facilities, high-speed Wi-Fi, and academic support, creating pathways to higher education closer to home. Throughout the year, the city also celebrated the community through festivals, cultural events, and ceremonies, while more than 450 local groups, artists, and volunteers received more than $740,000 in grants and sponsorships that supported creativity, inclusion, and local pride. Looking ahead, Council endorsed a robust capital works budget for 2025-26, supporting a future-focused work plan that balances growth and sustainability. Major projects within this budget include the $9.2 million Ellenbrook Community Centre, $8.5 million for the new Brabham District Community Centre, $1.3 million to complete renovation works at the Midland Town Hall, and $1.7 million for the renovation of the Gidgegannup Agricultural Hall. There's also been lots of progress this year on the city's largest ever project, Swan Active Ellenbrook. The $145 million state-of-the-art leisure and recreation facility will create a landmark destination in Ellenbrook's civic heart. Following the successful tender award in August 2025, ADCO will lead construction, with the centre expected to open in late 2027. The City of Swan's progress is built on collaboration between residents, volunteers, local organisations, and all levels of government. Together, we're creating a city that is inclusive, connected, and sustainable, a place where people are proud to live, work, and belong.
Very much. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video and found that presentation informative. You can see there's a lot going on in the City of Swan and some amazing futuristic projects that are coming to life as we speak, and this being one of them, as we said. You can also see both in the annual report what has been shown in the video for the highlights this year, that we are expanding exponentially and we're trying to keep up with that growth here. And so I hope that just gave you a bit of a snapshot of how great the things are that are going on in the City of Swan. So we've got many more exciting projects on the agenda in this financial year and some really big milestones, as I said, on the horizon. So keep in touch with us on Facebook, on City of Swan's website, and see how we're tracking along with those projects. On a personal note, it marked a really special and rewarding year, and I completed the second year of my term as the Mayor for the City of Swan. And it has been an incredible journey to be part of the growth that we have here and see these projects, as I said, come to life. I take the role as Mayor very seriously, and I'm really proud to represent you, and I'm always open to people phoning me, having a chat and stopping in the street and letting me know what's going on in the community. So if you do have any issues, you're more than welcome to email myself or the city. I'd like to just mention that the City won a range of awards for our projects and services just last year, including taking gold at the Qantas Australian Tourism Awards, and that was confirming the Swan Valley Visitor Centre's status as the best of Australia's 500 visitor centres. So if you're ever in Guildford and you're visiting the small tourism office there, go in and say hi to the staff and take your travelling visitors over there and introduce them and get some great ideas for things to go out and do. We won the Parks and Leisure Australia Award as well, which is the top prize in its best play space over the 500,000 category to the new Ballajura Intergenerational Play Space. That park is constantly being used and is extraordinarily busy for young families. And as you said, it's an all abilities playground as well. The $30 billion Dayton District Open Space was named WA Football Facility of the Year at the WA Football Commission Community Awards. And if you haven't been out there to see that open playing space, it's unreal. It's just beautiful. So if you're driving past, just go and check it out. Or if you're taking the dog for a walk out there, you might be able to appreciate the effort and what's gone into building that facility. We've got our $71 million Stock Road extension now, and we were honoured at the Australian Institute of Project Management Achievement Awards as well for that project. We started and completed a range of major projects, as we said, for our community, including the largest city-led consultation project on our 10-year strategic community plan. So we commenced the $12 million, as we said, Nangara Road duplication, which a lot of you will be driving past daily. And we broke ground on Brabham's $8.5 million district community centre, which is going to be very, very exciting for that community. And last weekend, we also opened the beautiful Ellenbrook Community Centre here, and very grateful for state and federal funding, but also to Lotteries West. So there's just a couple of highlights, and there's plenty more to come in the next 2 years. Everything we do, like we said at the city, is just focused around community and also providing growth and making sure that we keep up with that growth so that we can provide the best facilities for everyone here. And that's part of the enjoyment of being a member and part of the community. So I'd like to now ask if there are any questions on the content of the annual report. Yes, if you'd like to come up to the microphone. Or can we bring a microphone?
No, just don't come to the microphone.
We might have one roving.
No, we'll come to the microphone.
They're going to come.
Yep. Just take their name for the record.
And if you'd just like to introduce your name.
Hello, Smadara Turner from Swanview. I'll start with the finance. So we'll go for the EMRC project. It is stated on page 138 that about 10% of how much the city owns from EMRC has been written off from our budget. As the official date of the city leaving the EMRC is only in FY26, and the calculations have not been done yet, can I ask why $10 million have been written off the city's assets?
Thank you for that question, and I'll just ask the CEO to respond.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Nice to see you again for the question. So the city has an equity share of the EMRC. That equity share is due to be returned to us on 30th of June next year. So just under 18 months' time, we will receive a payout from them. So with each of the equity shares, it presumes two things. Firstly, it presumes the EMRC will operate as a going concern. And secondly, it presumes that all the equity in the going concern is able to be returned. Now, as a prudent person, with each of the two previous reimbursements of equity, that equity share has been impaired. So the Shire or City of Belmont equity was impaired by some just 17% from memory, and likewise for Kalamunda there's an impairment. So the city still has $100 million of equity, which it is owed, but for accounting purposes, we take up an impairment to protect us that when we do finally get the money back, we don't have to do an adjustment. So there still is the expectation $100 million will be returned to the city on 30th of June next year, and the city is engaged in conversation now with the two remaining members as to how they are going to fund that. As a going concern, that is their problem. There are issues in with the participants agreement and the establishment agreement that regulate then what they have to do if there's a net shortfall of any funds.
So do we expect in 2 years' time to have a $10 million jump?
It's entirely possible. So we ask for $10 million. We ask for $100 million. That's the expectation. Now, how they fund that and return that is a decision for them. You appreciate it's not just the equity for the city, but the Shire of Mundaring that must be paid back some $20 million. So the EMRC and the 2 remaining members have a significant task ahead of them in order to make that liability payment.
Okay, so talking about waste, the East Rockingham Waste Energy Facility is still under construction and is not gonna, if ever, be built before mid-26. So is the city and how much paying more to dispose of our waste with the MRC now that we're no longer a member?
So just to correct one misconception you have, the East Rockingham facility, and I toured it only 2 weeks ago with the Executive Director Operations, is complete. It's 99.5% operationally complete. It now needs to go through 2 things. It's got to go through a cold commissioning phase and then a hot commissioning phase. Each of those are very, very prescriptive because they have to get through the regulatory stages. So sometimes during 2027, East Rockingham will be operational. Now, the teething problems that it has, or it's been having, are no dissimilar to the Kwinana plant, which has now been in operation for over 6 months.
So do we send any waste there?
So we can't send any waste there at this point in time because whilst it goes through cold commissioning, until it gets to hot commissioning, that's when they start the burners. And there are contractual issues between themselves. That's Acciona, Project Co and KBI, who are the technology provider to facilitate that.
So do we pay more to the EMRC for the fact that we're no longer members?
No, in fact, we actually receive a discount. So as a non-participant, we're receiving a commercial discount. I can't, because of commerciality, advise that, but we are not paying full tote. We provide at a commercial rate.
Wonderful. So in the report, it states that waste delivered to landfill rose from 28% to 31%. So therefore, we're doing less recycling.
So you appreciate the city's population growing at 3% per annum. So as our population grows, so does our waste profile. We introduced FOGO during the course of the year, and the next phase 4 of FOGO, will start in April this year. That in itself diverts waste away from landfill because the FOGO product goes and about 80% of it is recovered. The organics is recovered. A fraction is still so highly contaminated it ends up back in landfill. But if it goes the same way the waste is currently going through one of the other FOGO suppliers, the balance of their waste is that contaminated waste goes down to the waste to energy plant as well. So it achieves effectively 100% recovery of all the waste through there. So we expect during the course of the year, our municipal solid waste profile change. We'll have less waste going to landfill as we do the substitution for FOGO operations from when phase 4 rolls out through, from memory, through the Middle and Guildford area.
But we don't really know why we rose last financial
We
year.
rose simply because our population went up and more people produced more waste.
It's percent, it's not ton. It's according to percent rather than ton.
So you deal with, in terms of percentage, I can talk to you afterwards if you like to understand the intricacies of, or if you'd like to talk to the operations director.
Yes,
Thank you very much. So we're allowing 3 questions tonight. Is there
one.
One more?
Oh, I've got more, but if anyone else.
It's we're at about 5 now. So if you had your last question.
Okay. 2 would be good, but we'll make it less financial. With the community satisfaction that has been tabled throughout the report, almost everything dropped. And if you want, I have it listed, but from the management of nature reserves to waste management to business owners indicating that it's a good thing to be in the city of Swan, to investments and the safe and healthy sector and services, except for libraries, they rose. The built environment, governance, everything, almost everything. There's only 1 or 2 in every category that has not dropped. And for sustainable and optimal use of city reserves, there's absolutely no data. So this is obviously not new information because it's last financial year. What is your plan to tackle this downward trend?
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you. And the city is entirely transparent in publishing its community perceptions results. You'd noted a couple of things. Most of the results were above what is the expected long-term benchmark, and you do have volatility from year to year. We're quite honest that the public's perception on the transition for FOGO and the implementation of that had a direct impact on the waste result. And if you look specifically at the disaggregated results, because we're going to be publishing them on our website, you would have seen those areas which had FOGO had a marked reduction in their satisfaction. So as part of that, the council undertook a review, a pause in the program review, and part of that pause was asking the public, are there things you could do to make the project or program more acceptable? And we received some great feedback. Council resolved as part of that to offer a bin substitution. So for those who are struggling with a smaller red bin, to be able to allow for a bespoke solution. And around 5% of all residents said they wanted to upsize their bin in order to give themselves better flexibility. So each year, and we'll do the same thing this year on the community, and that includes business perception, probably around April, I think, Dr. McQuaid, and go back out and check them. We'll also, as part of that budget process, we provide the feedback to the council members. So each part of our budget, and if you look, we report that is part of the budget. So where we're dealing with the service, each service has got one of those satisfaction indicators there. We look to say, is there something else we could do to improve the community's view on this? We know on waste, there is community dissatisfaction with some of the lead times currently on the bulk verge collections. So we'll bring those points back to council as we go through.
Thank you very much for your questions. I'll ask, is anyone else here tonight that'd like to come up and ask a question about the annual report? Yeah. Yeah. Just introduce yourself.
Sure. Jan Zick from West Swan. My question is about the same sort of thing that Samarda's talking about here that interested me, and that is that in the natural environment, one of the results was that in 23-24, the nitrogen in Bennett Brook, which is surprisingly, considering we're talking about preserving our waterways, is the only waterway that is being monitored. So it doesn't actually tell us a whole lot. But what's happened is that the nitrogen decreased apparently in 23-24 by decreased by 7%, I imagine, because it says decreased 7%. In 2024-25, it increased 13%. Why did that happen?
That's a very good question.
So through the chair,
Thank you.
you would note that both nitrogen and phosphorus levels are reported year on year, and just for the members of the public here, the reason we do Bennett Brook is it's the only waterway that is singularly controlled within the city of Swan. So where you have for the predominant land use, where you have others where rivers are flowing through it, so Swan and Helena rivers and upstream farming use, agricultural use, etc., can impact. We have much better closed capacity to manage and measure that. So I think you would also notice that I think the phosphorus levels fell last year. Nitrogen levels went up. The year before, it was the inverse, and we do get fluctuations in that area. And often, sometimes the big decaying material that goes into the riverine system is affecting it. But if you'd like to have a chat to Mr. McPherson afterwards, he can give you a far more technical view on that.
Yes, in response to your answer, we actually have a lot more waterways than just Bennett Brook, particularly on the western side of the river, that are not being monitored at all, and they should be. The increase in nitrogen, depending on what the benchmark was, may in fact be more than twice as much, which is quite a lot. That's the only question I had.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here tonight who would like to come up and ask a question in relation to the annual report? No, thank you very much for those that did come up and ask their questions. So we move to part 4. This is the general business part of the meeting. So motions that were carried at the last annual electors meeting have been provided with an update, which is available on the city's website or via the QR code provided. So some hard copies are available at the registration desk. You might have noticed that the air conditioning is kicking in right now. Apologies, it's been a bit of a warm day, and hopefully you'll start to feel the effects in a minute. Now, questions and answers recorded in the minutes of the meeting may be summarised in accordance with the Local Government Administration Regulations of 1996, and all questions received for this meeting have been answered, responded to, and have been included in this schedule. All questions will be published in the minutes of this meeting, and if any questions are taken on notice at the meeting, they'll be responded to in the meeting minutes also. There are also bottles of water just up the back. If you do need one, please let staff know. And so those questions have been answered. You'll see that there in the schedule. Oh. Okay, so I'll just ask if there are any further questions that electors have.
Ms. Turner?
Ms. Turner?
We're going to do the questions right at the end, I thought, but there you go.
Is that on? In materials and construct, in page 144, I think it's 143 on your printout, we had a budget for materials and contracts for 45 million. The actuals was 60 million. That's 14.5 millions different. Can you explain that and say if there are any processes in place to monitor and prevent that happening again?
Thank you. And that was page 133?
144 on your digital.
Sorry, 144?
And 143 on your printed.
Thank you.
So as a specific breakdown, I can't give you at this juncture a breakdown, knowing that what we do every month at council will give you an itemised financial report which shows where all of the costs are spent on materials and contracts, including then a full list of all transactions going through. But you would have noticed that we had estimated 45 million, last year at 47.60. The percentage overall has not significantly changed the percentage of our costs, but we are in a period of high inflation. That's quite clear to us. We have strong pressures from people who supply services to the city, and that's going to continue to apply. But if you're interested in a particular aspect of materials and contracts, if you want to just chat to Mr. Travascus afterwards, we can come and respond to you.
Did you have a second question?
Yes, please. Under the Midland Oval, or is it called the New Junction, this was the first year that we almost made it, not a loss. But then there was $1 million loss of disposals. Can you explain what that is? And is there any plan of making that project come into the positive?
So through the chair, I'll let Mr. Travascus come in a minute, but you appreciate that with the new junction or the project where we do a land disposal, we'll taken on estimated land values each year. We are required under Local Government Act to revalue land. When we dispose of an asset, that's usually land in this particular case, we have to then adjust what we may have said as an estimate. But you can, through modes that make then a book profit, bear in mind, as we're considering some of the assets in the moment now, they're acquired for £200 and they're now being disposed for millions of dollars. You might have wanted to get 1.5, you got 1.3 for it. So you might take a book loss, which is what you've adjusted the value of the land up to, but you've effectively made more than $1 million worth of profit. So I suspect that's where the transaction is. But Mr. Travascus, do you want to add anything to that? Well, the microphone's coming to you now.
Hello. Yes, through the chair. So yeah, essentially, the loss on sale is an accounting loss. So all of the city's assets, land and buildings, we need to record in the books at their fair value. So they're assessed at their fair value. That's not essentially what the city paid for that asset. When we acquired it, we may have got it for nil. Certainly a lot of the land around Midland Oval was acquired at a very low cost many, many years ago, but we recognise it in the accounts at its fair value or market value. So the loss on sale is the proceeds less what we are holding it for at fair value. So that's what that loss reported on page 194 is in relation to.
Thank you. Did you have a third question?
Nope, that'll be it.
All right, thank you very much. I'll ask, is anyone else who had a question they'd like to ask? We can bring the microphone around. No? Thank you very much for your questions. So move to 4.1, which is motion from electors. The following motions are received in writing to the meeting, and a mover and a seconder for each motion is required. So when you're invited to speak, please state your name your full name, and suburb. So I'll ask Mr. Gregory Ross from Swanview if you'd like to come out and thank you. Yeah.
Just before we start, if I could thank you, Mr. Ross. So for each of the motions we have received, we've got a copy on the screen as the motion was presented. We don't have a capacity to amend those motions. If you were to move something slightly different, we'll make a recording of it. But we're showing for the benefit of the public tonight what would the motion that was moved or that was proposed to be presented.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the Mayor and the councillors for this opportunity. Much appreciated. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Seems muted, but yeah. Do I read out what the motion is? The motion is for the City of Swan to investigate the installation of an off-leash dog exercise area at Nathan Square Park, at Nathan Square in Swanview. And the motion is that the city thoroughly investigate the installation of a dedicated fenced off-leash dog exercise area at Nathan Square Park, and that the investigation includes, but is not restricted to, the lack of such a facility within the immediate and close catchment area of Swanview, the inability of shared space sports ovals to provide safe exercise space for both athletes and dogs, an indicative cost and potential timeframe to provide such a space, identify any grant or state government funding that could be sourced to assist in funding such a space, consideration of the previous consultation provided by residents of Swanview and surrounding suburbs pertaining to the ease of access to and the desire for a local fenced dog park to serve the needs of dog-owning residents, and consideration of the previous petition signed by 378 City of Swan residents in support of a fenced dog park at Nathan Square, and the impact on City of Swan local residents given the closure of the Balfour Road fenced dog park by the Shire of Mundaring. And a small explanation, if I may, if I have the time. Having previously presented a petition to Council for a dedicated dog park at Nathan Square, the need for such a dog park is now escalated due to the closure of the temporary Balfour Road dog park. And that's forcing residents to drive well outside of the area, indeed out of the city, to High Wycombe, Bayswater, etc., in order to find a suitable purpose-built dog park. Now, Whiteman Park is excellent, but not always open when residents wish to exercise their dogs, and also involves considerable return travel. And with older dog lovers are telling me, especially the ladies, the older ladies, that they are just reluctant to drive on major highways like the Roe or the Reed. They're happy driving around their little area, but out there they just don't want to do it. Movida Estate dog exercise area is now opened. It's really well designed. It's a bit small for our damn dog. You can ride our dog down there, but however, it's very small with basically no parking. And it was obviously established to provide for people in that estate, and it's perfect for that, but just for those residents. Now, certainly the Shire of Mundaring has future plans to provide a fenced dog exercise area within the Brown Park precinct, but that is the concept stage only and potentially several years away, although I will note that Steve Catania has given the Shire of Mundaring $144,000 for a dog park. If he can do it for the Shire of Mundaring, he can damn well do it for the City of Swan. And I've told him that. The response received to the petition from the city stated that although Nathan Square Park was already an off-leash exercise area, there were no plans to create a fenced area, as it would impede the use of that open space. Now, we're asking you to reconsider with more intent the costs and desire of residents wanting this to happen by investigating the possible use of the heavily wooded area within the park. And it's actually the southern end. I wrote the eastern end, but the park's so big I got lost. So that's my bit. If you would be kind enough to look again closely at it, and I'm very willing to help the city go to the state Labor government and get some money. If I have to stand next to Mr. Cook, take it out of his wallet, I'll take it. So.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ross. We just missed a small section, which was, do we have a seconder? Thank you very much. Ms. Smarter-Turner? Okay. I'll ask if anyone is against.
Then we can put the motion.
No, we can put the motion to the vote. Those in favour?
Green cards. Could I have the staff, please, Leon and Matt, if you'd like to stand up, it's easier for just counting. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you hold your cards high, a staff member will simply count them. We'll just confirm. If you're not holding it up, if you haven't got a card when you're registered, Ms. Sec, you can't vote. You should have a card. No, we've moved straight on. The mayor's already moved straight on. Okay.
Okay.
Don't have to.
We're just in the middle of the count, so we'll just wait for staff to confirm. We could have practiced. Sorry? 31. That was 4. I'll ask if there's anyone against. We have 1. Thank you very much. That is fantastic. Thank you. I'll just mention that we could have passed that as it was, or there was one person against, but we will do it. That was a practice run for you to get an example. I mean, it was a real vote, but to get some practice in putting your green cards up and red cards. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you.
Some motions have been withdrawn before.
Now, we have had some motions in the program withdrawn. People were unavailable or due to sickness, so we're just going to keep going through. And the next motion we have is from Catherine Dixon of Dayton, and motion number 3, please. Thanks, Catherine.
Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Denise Dixon, and I live in Dayton. I've been in Dayton for 2 years. Okay, so my first motion. The City of Swan amends the verge guidelines to remove synthetic lawn from the list of other verge treatments.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Ms. Janzek, thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Reasons. Synthetic turf as a ground cover does not comply with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, adopted by the city as a framework to guide long-term planning. The UNSD goals 6, 3, 11, 12, 13 and 15. Just a little bit about synthetic lawn. Synthetic grasses break down into microplastics which enter and destroy soil. Once in the soil, it's very difficult to remove. The PFAs are a forever chemical in the synthetic grass, which destroys the environment. The microplastics enter waterways through drainage networks and impact the marine environment. It contributes to temperature increases of the urban heat island, temperature recordings of up to 70 degrees in some areas with the synthetic grass. It replaces real plants, trees, grass, which keep our area cool in the suburbs. It's made of huge amounts of plastic, which has a big carbon footprint. It's also hot to walk on and can lead to plastic burns. It has no wildlife benefit, rather it advises impact on wildlife. It's very difficult to recycle also. The City of Belmont, Canning, South Perth, Claremont, Vic Park prohibit the use of synthetic turf on verges, while Fremantle and Subiaco restrict the use. This amendment will support the City of Swan's Strategic Community Plan Goal G2.2, ensure the sustainable and optimal use of the city's resources through continuous improvement.
Thank you very much for that, Ms Dixon. I'll ask, are there any electors who wish to speak against the motion? No? That's very, very helpful tonight. So this motion will now put to the vote. So those in favour, if you could raise your green card, please.
I can vote?
Yep.
Yep, put it up high, nice and high. Just. Yeah, the motion is carried at 32. Thank you.
Against?
And those against?
No.
I was lucky. Thank you very much for that. Now you have another motion, which is motion number 4.
It's in regards to the same thing. The City of Swan investigates how its local planning scheme facilitates and amend the prohibit use of synthetic turf, here's the one, on private property, including residential and commercial land use, except for sporting grounds. The same reasons as what I listed before.
Okay, I'll just ask for a seconder at that point. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Simon Ashford, thank you. If you'd like to read out your reason.
My card up, isn't it?
Did you want to read out, or you want to use those your same reasons?
It's
Happy
the
with
same
that?
reasons,
That's
just
fine.
to reduce the time.
No
Yeah, sorry.
problem. Thank you, Ms.
Yeah.
Dixon. So I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? No?
Oh,
Yes.
we have- okay.
Just get a roving microphone.
I find myself in a slightly unusual position that I totally agree synthetic grass shouldn't be on verges. I want to see native plants and all sorts of things there, but I would disagree totally with private land, with especially for residents, with the use of synthetic grass. We actually have it on our back lawn and are giving some thought to putting it on a portion of our front. So I don't think there's any place for that, but I do totally agree with it not being on the verges.
Thank you very much. I'll ask anyone like to speak for the motion? Ms. Sett?
Thank you. Whilst I recognise that some people do use it on their properties, that the motion is that the city investigates how it can incorporate the prohibition of the synthetic turf. It's not saying that it will actually do it at this stage, it's just investigating it. So it gives the opportunity to the city to educate the community about the problems with synthetic turf. I know that in Brabham last year, when we had 45.1 degrees day, it was, someone took the temperature on the road, it was 63 degrees, and on the synthetic turf, it was 81 degrees. That's massive. That is really hot. We have so few trees that have been planted in these areas. For most of the people in the new urban areas, they are really going to suffer. So the synthetic turf is a huge contributor to the heat island effect that needs to be investigated, because in the end it is an unsustainable practice. And even though some people use it because it seems to be convenient, there are major problems with it, and it's not carefree, that there are still things like weeding that has to happen with that. I know because I've walked through Brabham and I've seen how many weeds come through the synthetic turf. Really surprising, because I didn't think that would happen, but it does. So I would support the motion. I think the city needs to investigate how we can reduce our carbon footprint and how we keep this sort of thing out of landfill, because you can't recycle it. And yes, I can't think of anything else at the moment, but yes, I think that it's a really
Dayton
good
and
move.
Brabham, we've got less than 4% tree canopies, so having synthetic lawn does not make sense. And I'm sorry that if people
Thank you.
don't.
I've just mentioned this is the part where we're just going for and against.
Yep.
And then, so I'll now ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone against? Anyone like to speak for the motion? No? Did you have a right or reply? Did you want to add?
It's going to be on Channel 9 News tonight. They're talking about the synthetic lawn and the banning of it.
Great. So if you get a chance
if you
to watch
want to
that,
go
thank
home
you.
and watch that on replay.
No worries, thank you. I'm going to now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour? (29) and anyone against? We have two. Thank you very much. Now, move to motion 5. Ms. Catherine Dixon from Dayton.
Yep, that's me again.
Thank you.
All right. The City of Swan increases its mobile surveillance cameras from 8 to 24 in the 26-27 budget. Okay, I'm a community supporter and I pick up rubbish weekly. This morning I was out there picking up rubbish and it was disgusting. I'm a Keep Australia Beautiful volunteer in Dayton, and I see endless rubbish being dumped here and across the City of Swan. I pick up rubbish in my community regularly, and this upsets me that I don't get the same respect from some of my community. It costs the City of Swan a lot of time and money to pick up and investigate the rubbish dumpers. I'd like to know how much it does actually cost. The rubbish is an eyesore and has a big impact on our environment. So an increase in cameras for this budget would be great.
I'll ask, do we have a seconder? I think we will.
Patrick Irwin.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Mr. Patrick Irwin. Okay. Did you want to add anything else?
No, we need more volunteers out there picking up rubbish, please.
Thank you. Mr. Irwin, did you want to add anything? No. Thank you. Does anyone like to speak against the motion?
You've got a lady here who wants to speak against it.
Hi, how you going? My name's Jane Masuga. I'm from Gidgee, and I'm against more surveillance. I don't think that we need it. And to me, it's more of like an infringement on people's privacy, the more surveillance there is. There's already that much around an actual Midland area that I think it's a little bit excessive. So I don't believe that more surveillance is the answer.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. I'll ask anyone like to speak for the motion. Ms. Eck?
Thank you. I drive regularly around the Swan Valley and the urban areas to the west of us, the Brabham, Dayton and Henley Brook areas. And there is so much more rubbish now being dumped in the rural areas, and I suspect that most of it comes from the urban areas. I don't know. Considering that I've lived here for nearly 40 years and I have not seen that much rubbish, and I know that we did have some dumping in the past, but nothing to the degree that it is now. It is everywhere, and the city unless you do snap, send, solve, which takes time, and you can't stop on the roads now because the traffic is so heavy, you can't even report the things. There is so much stuff there, and it's been there for months and months and months, and the city hasn't picked it up. We need to do something better than that, and people need to recognise that there is a problem with dumping rubbish. I think that the cameras will be one way of being able to do that, that people recognise that they can't do it without any repercussions, that there is someone who's watching them and that they need to lift their game. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Eck. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Not at this point. Sorry, Catherine. Right, so did you have a right of reply now, though?
The cameras are not permanent. They're only there for a short period of time. They're not there to look in your backyard. They're looking at hotspots. That's all it is. It's not down every street. It's not like Midland, because Midland's, sorry.
Okay.
So they're not there permanently. Today, I saw mattresses, drawers, baby stuff, and I'd cleaned that area recently. We just need the cameras to be there for a short period of time so the City of Swan can do their job and go find the people that are dumping it and find them. We're not there to see what you're hanging on your clothesline or anything like that. They're not a permanent fixture.
Thank you very much, Ms Dixon. I'll now put that to the vote. Those in favour? (32) and anyone against? We've got 1, 2, so it's carried. Thank you. And thank you very much for that clean up. I did see it on Facebook and yeah, it's very much appreciated, even though you don't have to do it. Thank you. So we move to number 6, motion number 6, Mr. Gregory Hull, Woodbridge Ratepayers Association. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. As mentioned, my name's Greg Hull, Woodbridge, Acting President of the Woodbridge Ratepayers Association. My presentation are consistent with the motion but have been condensed to meet the 3-minute speaking limit. The motion before this meeting proposes that the City conduct an annual consultative forum with key office bearers of resident and ratepayer groups across the City that are elected or formally recognised by their members. These groups represent neighbourhood interests across the City. However, their priorities and experiences differ significantly depending on location. This reflects the nature of the City of Swan itself, which is large, diverse and complex. The City includes urban, rural areas, established developing suburbs, residential, commercial and industrial precincts, environmentally sensitive areas and places of heritage significance. It follows that City policies and services can be experienced quite differently across these areas. The proposed forum is not intended to replace existing engagement. Surveys, digital engagement, project-based consultation, local area plan processes would continue. The forum is intended to provide a light touch, informal advisory mechanism that would assist Council and the City to develop a more holistic understanding of the community perspective across all wards. Participation would be limited to key representatives of resident and ratepayer groups. These groups may be formally constituted and or covered by the City's insurance arrangements. Importantly, the motion does not require formal registration, ensuring the forum remains accessible and proportionate. The forum would be facilitated by City officers and would operate in a collaborative and constructive manner. Its primary purpose is to inform councillors. While councillors may already attend annual general meetings or engage with such groups within their own wards, this forum brings representatives from all 5 wards together, providing a city-wide perspective that supports more informed decision-making. Some groups currently meet with city executive officers on an occasional basis. This proposal ensures that all recognised groups across the city have an equitable opportunity to participate collectively, while retaining the ability for individual groups to raise local or urgent matters separately where appropriate. The forum also provides value to the groups themselves. It enables groups to become familiar with one another. I discovered one tonight, a new one, to share experience in governance and sustainability, and to better understand the challenges faced by volunteer-based organisations. It supports coordination between groups, reduces duplication in engagement with the city, and encourages more effective collaboration. The timing of the forum would be coordinated to support key governance and planning processes, such as this meeting tonight, Strategic Community Plan. This is consistent with the Integrated Planning and Reporting Framework, which recognises the distinct but complementary roles of council, community and administration. By enabling early, structured and location-specific input, the forum assists in informing long-term objectives and identifying potential unintended impacts. Recent experience, for example, FOGO, demonstrates the value of understanding how citywide initiatives can be experienced differently across local areas. In summary, the motion proposes a modest, efficient and complementary addition to existing engagement practices. It strengthens transparency, improves understanding of community experience and supports more resilient resident and ratepayer groups. I commend the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hull. I'll ask, do I have a seconder for the motion? Lots of hands going up. And Mr. Thank you. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Yes, Mr. Irwin?
I'd like to speak to perhaps an amendment that we used to have under Mayor Gregorini, Community Consultation Committee, which was within the ward. It was not across the whole city. And I felt that was a very useful forum. We used to have that, I think, approximately monthly, and it was simply a chance to sit down with Gregorini was appropriate for Midland Guildford because he was councillor for Midland Guildford, but I felt that that format worked very well, where you had various, as Greg has just said, you had various people from representing different community groups able to bring any issues that they wanted to bring forward to his attention. And I felt that was a very user-friendly method of keeping the council, or keeping our ward councillors up to date on issues. And I feel it was unfortunate that discontinued. I'm sorry, it's not. I'm not saying exactly the same thing as what Greg was saying, but I did see that worked well on a ward basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? No? You're right to reply, Mr. Hull, if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, I only just knew the position, but I'm every day learning the new ratepayer groups, and really it's an opportunity to get the issues raised in a collective and encouraging early advice to both council and the city.
No, right. Well, thank you very much. We'll now put that to the vote. Those in favour? (32) And is there anyone against? Oh, Thank you very much, and that's carried. And Mr. Hull, you have motion number 7.
Yes, thank you. Okay. This motion proposes that the city conduct at least annual informative and interactive community workshops, obviously separate from the forum, on the city's planning and development policies, procedures, and decision-making responsibilities. These workshops are intended to support community understanding of planning and development processes. They are not proposed as policy change, advocacy, or a challenge to development outcomes, but as a practical means of improving understanding of how the system operates. The City of Swan is recognised for its strong commitment to community engagement, transparency, and responsiveness. This commitment is evident through the annual report, which we've seen tonight, strategic community plan, corporate business plan, local area plans, the city's website and other communication channels. It's everywhere, community engagement. Councillors, executives and staff consistently engage with residents and ratepayers in a professional and constructive manner, but piecemeal. Despite this, from the perspective of many community members, including those involved in resident and ratepayer groups, planning and development processes remain an area of ongoing confusion. Planning and development matters are inherently complex and technical. Professional developers and consultants work within statutory planning frameworks on a continual basis and are familiar with their terminology, procedures and constraints. By contrast, most residents and volunteer community groups engage with planning processes infrequently and without specialist expertise. This can make it difficult to understand how and when to engage appropriately, or what constitutes a relevant planning consideration, or which matters fall within the city's responsibilities as distinct from those determined by state authorities. This imbalance is structural rather than intentional. However, it can lead to misunderstanding, frustration, misdirected submissions, and inefficient use of both community and indeed city staff resources. It is acknowledged that the city undertakes comprehensive engagement, particularly through the preparation and review of local area plans. These processes are valuable and play an important role in shaping long-term planning outcomes for specific localities. However, they are geographically focused, reviewed over long timeframes, and strategic in intent. They are not designed to explain statutory planning procedures or assist residents to respond to individual planning or development proposals as they arise. The proposal contained in this motion therefore serves a distinct and complementary purpose rather than duplicating existing consultation processes. The purpose of the motion is to improve community understanding through regular, structured and accessible education. The proposed workshops would explain planning and development policies and procedures in plain language, clarify the respective decision-making responsibilities of the city and state government, and outline what constitutes a relevant planning consideration, assisting residents and community groups to engage constructively and effectively. So therefore the intent is educational and explanatory. Workshops facilitated by city staff would provide a consistent and efficient mechanism to address common areas of misunderstanding, clarify jurisdictional limits, and respond to general questions. They would complement existing online information and individual engagement, not replace them. So by improving understanding, the city can expect better informed community input, reduced frustration, fewer repeated explanations, and more efficient processes for both residents and indeed city officers. In conclusion, the motion proposes a modest, practical and complementary enhancement to existing engagement practices. It supports transparency, improves understanding of planning processes, and strengthens trust between city and the community. amend the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hull, for that motion. I'll ask, do you have a seconder? Mr. Beavers? Thank you. Now, so would you like to speak as well, Mr. Beavers? No?
Okay.
Would anyone like to speak for the motion?
Against the motion.
Anyone against the motion? No, pop that to the vote. Those in favour? Oh, just, it's good to see the numbers, I suppose. Good. $27. Is anyone against? No, thank you very much. Now, we did have a cancellation for, was withdrawn for motion number 8. So we'll move to motion number 9. Mr. Gary Mitchell from Midland. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Madam Chair, councillors, electors, my name's Gary Mitchell. I run a business on 305 Great Eastern Highway, right in the heart of Old Midland. And the reason I'm here tonight, representing not just myself, but many other businesses and residents, ratepayers and electors, is because of all the reconstruction that's going on along our street, which is way overdue, and we're delighted that it's happening. The hotel, which is right next door to 305 on lot 100, the Junction Hotel, is being redeveloped, and it's fantastic, and we're very encouraging. But what's actually happened is, as a result of one of their applications to redo the bottle shop and knock down the beer garden in the back, is that a long-standing thoroughfare, longer than 50 years, maybe beyond that, I don't know, who remembers, has been closed. It was closed without notification to any of us along that strip, and it was done without any consultation, and it was done without any impact considerations on the area. Now, it comes as a bit of a shock because I've been there for 30 years, and in the 30 years that I've been there, knowing that the hotel has changed hands at least 6 times since I've been there, and every owner has wanted to close it down for a little time, the thoroughfare, to redo it, etc. The council has been at odds to keep it open, and we've even helped it on occasions, and we've certainly helped all the new owners develop what they've needed to develop. And what's happening right now happened within the last 15 years when the beer garden was initially knocked down and rebuilt, and the drive-through was initially knocked down and rebuilt. And here we are again. But it has never caused anyone in the area any problems until we've had the thoroughfare, long-standing thoroughfare, that the council used to police to keep open, has been closed. Now, the problem that it's caused is it's congested the area. We've got a lot of development going on. It's fantastic. But there are 50 car bays in the block that is behind the accessway, the thoroughfare, that tradies on the 3 properties that are being redone cannot access. So they are all parking on Great Eastern Highway. That's okay, unless you happen to run a business there, or if you happen to need your rubbish collection, because no impact study, as I said, was done, and no rubbish was able to be collected. So I had to go around and reorganise it with the council. They were terrific. Your staff was terrific. And I thanked them and I told them this was the case. And we, after 2.5 weeks, are now getting our rubbish collected. It's a problem for me and most of these ratepayers as well, because I have to take my bin 750 metres to where they can be picked up and then retrieve it 750 metres from where they can be picked up. Anyway, the tradies are not a problem because I've spoken to them all. No one's being fined in that area, even though it's a 1 hour parking issue. It's not being policed. If they were moved on and told to park out the back, where they'd have to go all the way around, it's an issue for them, they would do it. But no one's being fined, no one's being warned. The biggest problem for me is that none of my customers can access me and I can't get any new business. I have not been able to pay my rent this month for the first time in 30 years. That's how restricted it is for me, not just the rest of the business owners around there. The funny thing is, we could have helped because when the previous developments needed to happen, we didn't need the thoroughfare closed. Precisely the same as what's happening now, happened before, but everybody got together and said, let's do it like this. It's been closed since the end of December. It's now the 2nd of February. Work ceased on it a week and a half ago. It's still not open. And work is going to recommence on it when the rebuild starts. It is a problem for all of us. It is sending me broke. It doesn't need to happen because the build that they're actually going to do with the drive-through can be done without closing the thoroughfare. It's been done before. And the thoroughfare is literally abutting all the adjoining properties. So I ask that you please accept this motion to reopen the thoroughfare with some consultation if you want, with a hand if you want. The people who are developing are great. We're all good people. But for the first time that I've been there in more than 30 years, the council has done this without consultation nor an impact study. So I'd ask that this be accepted.
Thank you very much. I just need to ask, do we need to read that out in full? We read properly, so we're
He's read the motion. I think the motion we've got.
That's fine. I'll ask if we have a seconder. And your name? Jeff. Thank you.
Just before we debate it, could I make a brief statement?
Sure, thank you.
So, could I just note, Mr. Mitchell, the area I think you're referring to is controlled by Development WA. I don't think it's the city has actually closed this. So under the old Midland Redevelopment Authority, we don't have planning approval over all areas through the railway workshops up to Great Eastern Highway. I think it's been confirmed. So whilst this motion might get up, could I ask, have you had any discussion with Development WA?
No, but I have spoken to members of your workforce.
All right.
Who've actually been sending me emails on it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Madam Mayor,
they would also be unaware of that then too.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
No.
That's okay.
Do you want Mr. Vanderlyn to make a brief comment before we go on?
If you'd like to, thank you.
Madam Mayor, that thoroughfare for the southern part, as far as my recollection goes, so from Victoria Street towards about 3/4 up the street, the depth of that street block, is a thoroughfare that is registered in the estate of the original developer of that area. So it's in private ownership and it falls within the Development WA area.
I've received that information.
Yeah, and then the northern part of it that was the thoroughfares actually in ownership of the hotel. So I think the arrangements in the past, as you've said, was just arrangements between all the landowners in the area, and the hotel owners were happy to keep it open. So they weren't.
They wanted it closed. That's what caused the problem, and where we all came to aid them, and the council was instrumental in keeping it
That's right.
open.
So formally, the city does not have any authority over the.
I'm not sure that's right. It is a
But we can- but
long-standing
Mr.
thorough
Mr.
affair
Mitchell,
of 50 years.
Mr. Mitchell, thank you very much. Thank you very much as well, Mr. Van der Linde. What we need to do is we will put this through and we'll go to the vote, but we'll continue the conversation and we'll get down to the bottom of what your understanding on what's happening with the city, because I think we'll be able to clarify it better offline then. But this is just the basic formalities of doing the vote. So
Thank you.
we'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? If you could just raise your cards. Thank you.
Important.
$29, and is there anyone against? No, thank you. It's carried. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for that, and we'll be in touch with staff to discuss that with you. So now we move to Joseph Sarker, which is motion 10 from Lockridge Neighbourhood Progress Association. Thank you.
Thank
If you'd
you.
like to read out your motion there.
My motion is that the City of Swan install electric barbecues at Rocha Park and Grimmery Oval.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Barbara.
So currently in Lockridge, there are no barbecue facilities at our parks, and many other suburbs have these facilities. And we're quite lucky to have really nice green spaces in Lockridge for residents to enjoy. But I think barbecues would enhance the experience. And I think, like, I know a lot of families and, you know, friends and stuff would like to go and have a picnic, or even like as part of the Progress Association, have community events so we could do a sausage sizzle or something. It would be quite beneficial. And I think electric barbecues would probably be a better option than gas, because gas, like the bottles would have to be changed quite regularly. There's no flames, so it'd be safer. And, you know, if there's any kind of vandalism, it's kind of less dangerous, I suppose. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
No, thanks very much, Joseph. I'll ask if Barbara would like to speak. No, that's okay. Does anyone like to speak against the motion? Yes?
Maybe. Just confirm her name.
If you could just confirm your name.
Jane.
Jane.
I'm not entirely against the idea of the barbecues, but what is the costing involved in putting in a barbecue and maintaining that barbecue? Because a meeting that I attended last year, there was talk that a barbecue costs over $1 million in a 10-year period to maintain and look after. So what is the costing involved for putting in a barbecue, maintaining it, looking after it, and stopping it from being vandalised?
I'll just refer to Mr. McPherson. Or you happy, Mr.
We can't give an exact cost now. A couple of things would help determine it, not just the supply of the barbecue, but whether there's electrical supply in the area. As you're requesting, Spider, you're looking for electrical solutions, so how much it would cost to run distributed power to the site. But we would do that as part of any report back to council for consideration of the item.
Okay. Does anyone like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak against the motion? No, you're right to reply. Thank you.
There's nothing to rebut, Madam Mayor.
Happy?
Oh, look, look, it's a valid question, I think. I think like, I'd like to have it investigated to see, you know, if it would be practical. And I suppose my justification really is that it is provided in a lot of other suburbs. So, yeah, I think it would be good for us to have. And also, I think just to get more people out to the parks and stuff, it would be a good thing, I think.
No, that's great. Thanks very much, Joseph. So we'll now put that to the vote. Those in favour? Important.
Yeah.
31. Thank you. Is anyone against? No, that's carried. Thank you very much. Now you have motion number 11.
Yes, this motion would be that the City of Swan provide a raised zebra crossing on either Rocher Road or Diana Crescent directly at the front of Lockridge Primary School.
Do I have a seconder for the motion?
Barbara?
If you just say your name again. Thank you, Barbara. Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of residents of Lockridge that we've spoken to have concerns regarding the lack of a safe pedestrian crossing point for students to get to and from school at Lockridge Primary School. And there has been, there have been people who will speed through the area as well. So if it was raised and there were the zebra crossings that at the signs and stuff as well, it would make people slow down and they would understand that, they would, they'd see it and go, oh, students got to be careful and stuff. So it kind of dissuades people from speeding. And again, a lot of other suburbs, a lot of other schools have these facilities in place, and at the moment, Lockridge Primary School doesn't. And I know this has been an ongoing issue with residents for quite some time. Sorry. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
I'll ask that anyone like to speak against the motion. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Yes?
Thank you. My name's Colin Dacey. I believe the safety of our children is paramount, no matter where we live. Every school, I believe, should have a crossing, regardless of where they are or how much traffic's going through there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dacey. I'm going to ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone to speak for the motion? Sorry?
These raised, these items that they use for reducing speed and all that sort of stuff, it's more the fact that you raise the road and it's just a challenge for the clowns to go faster over it. It has an opposite effect sometimes. So I understand that perhaps the option should be to go to the police department and get a monitored crossing guard.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak for the motion or against the motion? No? We'll pop that to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Is anyone against? No, thank you. That was carried. And now we move to motion number 12. So thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Hello, folks, again. Thank you. Yeah, this motion that I've put up would go a long way to alleviating some of the financial stress.
I'll just get you to read that out first if you can. If you can
Okay,
read
that
motion,
the
thanks.
City of Swan increases its parking patrols and ensures parking regulation enforcement at least between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. at a minimum of 2 days per week to the area of Great Eastern Highway bounded by Keene Street and Helena Street, Midland.
I'll ask, do you have a seconder?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Winterton.
Okay. As you've heard before, we have congestion. The businesses are severely affected despite daily calls to the council to get someone out to fine, despite repeated reassurances that the council's making a lot of money from the fines in that area. I think the communication has referred to December, November, etc., because development has been going on for quite a while in that area, and it's been great until this thoroughfare has been closed. Now that the tradies can't get to park anywhere behind, they are using all the available bays in front. They are only 1 hour bays. They are parking there and have parked there every day. Same cars. I've taken a photo of every car. I've spoken to the guys and they're lovely. They're quite willing to park elsewhere. Stuart, the developer of the apartments, has allocated parking for them, but it is a mile away and they don't want to park there. They're all young boys, but they need to be taught new habits to shift around the back. They know where it all is because I've told them, but they need the push along. Not one of those boys, not one of the tradies, the contractors, has been fined since the 2nd of January. I don't know what happened before. And it's been 1 month, despite reassurances that they are regularly fined. It's not happening. So all I'm asking for is enforcement of the 1 hour parking laws that are in place now, please.
Thank you very much, Mr Mitchell. Does anyone like to speak against the motion? Does anyone like to speak for the motion? We'll pop that to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. And anyone against? No, thank you very much.
Thank
That's
you.
carried. And we now move to motion 13, which is Mr Gavin Troy from the Vines.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. I'm a resident of the Vines and within the Swan Valley Gidgigana ward. The motion I move is that the City of Swan acknowledge that community organisations and residents are deeply concerned with the council's planning staff's interpretation and response on planning issues. We therefore request that a detailed review be undertaken by an independent agency to the City's Planning Department. Such a review shall be an all-encompassing review that considers town planning considerations undertaken through the City of Swan over the past 6 years, with particular reference to matters concerning the Vines locality. I do have a seconder.
Now, do I have a seconder? Would you like to state your name, please, for the... Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whilst our motion was born from the experience of the Vines community over the recent years, we acknowledge that concerns on the City of Swan's planning department have been widespread and of concern with many community organisations and community members for some years. And I think that's been illustrated tonight. We therefore specify some of the issues from our experience, using the Vines model as the focus for better understanding our concerns. We can say we are not without concern of the narrow planning processes followed by the state government and the government planning agents is in today's thrust towards housing development. But we do say that should not be to the exclusion of broad-based planning principles that are all well stated within the existing state manual, policies and guidelines. We say we do not ignore well-considered policies and guidelines because of political pressure of today's issue on housing to the exclusion of sound planning principles that must apply at all times. We demand that council staff give greater consideration to how we wish to live in our environment and not be misled by the current and short-term vision of property developers and their very active lobbyists with their clever placement of developer adverts on planning decision boards. You have an obligation to represent us, not them. The outcome of the minimisation of elected council representation on local planning decisions has permitted the exclusion of the balanced considerations required with local planning decisions. We need our planning staff to be highlighting such points within their reports, not blindly following the preferred guidelines advanced by the appointed representatives to government boards and committees. Just a couple more if you give me time. We do not comprehend the disregard of earlier council reports and papers and council determinations, namely the December 2019 Ordinary Council Resolution, item 2.1, and the authority that permitted such disregard to occur within council staff. The failure of the planning officer's report in considering broad-based planning principles on Amendment 9 of ODP number 37 and the clear bias of that report. The disregard in that report of the local planning scheme 17 provisions, and particularly those associated with Schedule 4 special use zones, item 3, applying to the Vines, whereby the original approval conditions for a balanced development of an international standard golf course and an associated country club development and operation, vis-a-vis an associated housing development, was clearly outlined and was operating successfully until 2006 and marginally beyond. The failure to provide supportive documentation to Council's resolution and points of objection opposing the Planning Officer's report in relation to Amendment number 9 of ODP 37 was finally forwarded to the State Planning Commission, and the action of the City of Swan's executive staff in providing additional correspondence in support of the Planning Officer report, and by doing so, defying the elected council bodies opposing resolution and in contravention of their subservient role. This inquiry should consider in detail how the advancement of the community interest in town planning process within council's control can be enhanced, but also, where appropriate, provide comment and advice on the current planning framework being applied by the state agencies and the interrelationship between council and those state agencies under that framework. Madam Mayor, I ask that these debate points be addressed as part of the recommendations for council determination in addition to the primary motion. I have provided these points to your staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Troy. I'll ask anyone like to speak against the motion. Anyone like to speak for the motion?
Dixon.
Yes, Mr. Lowe.
Oh, Mr. Dixon Lowe's.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm Dixon Lowe, Vice Chair of the Vines Residents and Ratepayers Association, representing support on behalf of the Vines community. Our support for the motion is based on our deep concern with the Planning Officer's report for Amendment 9 to ODP 37. It is not simply that we disagree with the recommendation, it is that the report fails to meet the basic standards required under the planning and development regulations and the WA Planning Manual, and I'll expand on those. The community has two reasonable expectations of its local government. First, a full and independent planning assessment, and second, an accurate acknowledgement of stakeholder contributions. Unfortunately, the Planning Officer's report did not meet either of these expectations. Firstly, the planning assessment is incomplete. The report provided no regional context, no analysis of the broader implications for the Northeast Metropolitan Corridor, and no recognition of the original planning intent for the Vines as an international standard golf and tourist precinct. Key requirements under Schedule 2, Part 4, Clauses 16 and 17 of the Planning and Development Regulations of 2015 are simply not addressed. The report does not sufficiently evaluate state planning policies, does not consider the cumulative effect of surrounding high density development, you heard about that tonight, and does not examine the environmental, amenity or tourism consequences of fragmenting the golf course. Decision makers were therefore being asked to approve a major structure change without the information required to understand its consequence. Secondly, the treatment of stakeholder submissions was unacceptable. The VRRA submission, a detailed evidence-based document, was withheld from councillors until the day of their meeting for the decision. The explanation offered was that our concerns were adequately represented in the report. They clearly were not. The submission schedule was incomplete and inaccurate. For example, the city's own published schedule shows 50 directly affected properties. However, a further 14 submissions from residents overlooking the driving range were not registered at all. This means that over a quarter of objections in this location are missing from the official record. Review of the same published schedule of submissions shows failures to meet the requirements of the WA Planning Manual template, which was used, and analysis on which it is structured. The report also misrepresented agency responses. It claims no objection were received, yet the correspondence shows that several agencies provided recommendations, raised issues, or relied on incomplete information supplied by the applicant. Environmental assessment is similarly compromised. By understating the subject land area, the report has restricted the scope of environmental review. This contradicts both Commonwealth guidance and previous MOJAP findings that identified environmental significance and a potential EPA referral. When the applicant falsely stated that there were no roost sites recorded near the project area, and despite being advised otherwise that there were 16 active roosts in the area, the planner's report retained this false information. Finally, the report contains subjective and unsubstantiated statements, asserting that an illuminated two-story driving range is difficult to not accept as an improvement was without any evidence, analysis, or reference to community views to support that assertion.
Thank you.
Finishing off. Councillors, the community participates in state planning processes in good faith. We have followed the planning process, provided detailed submissions, and raised legitimate concerns. The City of Swan planning officers have failed to provide a planning assessment that is complete, independent, and transparent. Their report for ODP 37 Amendment 9 omitted critical information, misrepresented community input, and failed to meet statutory planning requirements. We urge you to approve an independent agency review of your planning department.
Thank you. I'll ask anyone like to speak against the motion. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Thank you, Mr. Ashby.
Hello? Oh, right, yeah. Yes, I'd like to, I support Gavin, except I would like to delete the reference to the vines at the end of the sentence because this is a common concern throughout the City of Swan, I think. There have been numerous examples in Hazelmere of it not being applied appropriately or not looking after the interests of the ratepayers, where at the moment there's been one approved development application which has gone to JDAP or whoever it is. That, as I understand it, is not, it doesn't meet requirement of Local Planning Scheme 17, which requires a structure plan shall include all lots within the special use zone. So I don't think that the one which has been approved has been fairly recommended by the planning staff. The other one of the fuel depot or fuel storage or whatever it is on lot 91 and 38, is it, or 69 and 38, I think is a bit open to discussion. This latest one, which has come out of lot 39 and 1101, where the planning department couldn't have failed to identify native trees. It raises concerns. And I think that possibly an independent review might be appropriate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashby. We've now had 3 speakers, so we're going to put the matter to the vote. Those in favour? Would you like a right of reply?
No one's spoken against it.
Well, no one's spoken against it, so
We've gone to the vote.
yeah. Thank you. So if you can put those cards up nice and high, thank you.
You can't amend a...
You can't amend special electors meeting motion. Thank you. Okay. And anyone against? No, thank you. That's carried. Move to motion number 14. Ms. Anne Winchester from the Upper Swan District Ratepayers and Residents Association. Thank you, Ms. Winchester.
Thank you very much.
If you would like to read out your motion, please.
Thank you. That consideration be given to extending the bike path along West Swan Road from Nangara Road to the Great Northern Highway.
Just ask if I have a seconder. Thank you. And if you'd like to state your name. Thank you, Kathy Klein.
Thank you. Currently, if one wishes to cycle along West Swan Road after Nangara Road roundabout, then one must cross the bridge over the Ellenbrook, where there is very little room for a cyclist, and then negotiate the busy section from Millhouse Road roundabout to Great Northern Highway. We have since been informed that this has been discussed by council previously, but we don't know how recently that discussion took place. We ask that this be revisited because certainly the traffic is increasing exponentially.
Thank you very much. I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against the motion. Oh, sorry, anyone for the motion? Anyone like to? Yep. Well, was going against first.
Against.
Anyone like to speak against the motion? Well, first I've asked if there's anyone against the motion, and there's no one. So, question?
Is council aware of proposals by Main Road to dual carriage?
I'll just use that microphone if I can. Thanks, Mr. Troy.
Sorry. Of a proposal by Main Roads for a dual carriageway from the extension of Nangara through to Great Northern Highway, which covers the lady's question. It was evident to me 2 to 3 years ago, this was going to occur. And I think it's already evident that the bypass around the pool of water is already in hand with what's taking place with power extensions.
Thank you. I'll put that to staff and ask.
I'll
let Mr. Zio respond.
Thank you. Yes, and look, there has been provision for an eventual long-term, I'll say that many years into the future, deviation of Angara Road on the eastern side of its current extension through to Great Northern Highway. There is no funding for that at this point in time, and there's no planning that's been dealt with it. So it would be a very long-term undertaking, in my view.
Okay. So we did ask, is anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Thank you.
Kathy Dixon, Dayton. I'm an avid cyclist around the area. I actually ride the area quite frequently. Just to let you know that it is a safe space for a cyclist to be because of the speed of the traffic. And I've had plenty of abuse for riding on the road when there could be a cycle path. I know it's sort of a funding sort of situation, but when there's kids riding around the area and they can't get access to a cycle path, we don't want to see an incident, and neither with adults as well. So I'm with her.
Support the motion.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to speak against the motion? No? I'll now put that motion to the vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Is anyone against? No, that's carried. Thank you. Now we move to motion 15. Mr. Chris Dorozenko from Beachborough. Thank you. If you'd like to read out your motion.
My motion is to remove all the dead verges around Beachborough parks and schools and replace them with suitable parking areas and footpaths.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. And your name? Sorry, Donald Walker. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, and thanks to our honourable council, committee, councillors, management, volunteers and residents and ratepayers. I'm grateful to be able to be well enough to accept this invitation for the meeting. Tonight I will present you with a short story, and I hope it will be followed with your support. During the progression of communities in civilization, we as a society have come to learn things that make us great and everything otherwise. We have learned to manage and create systems of operation that allow safe, more efficient and commendable means of progress while improving the world we live in. We as a diverse group have emerged ourselves in different ways of life that define us, and it guides us the way we choose life. This is culture, a legacy you choose to carry and pass down through generations to your kids and to their kids. There lay among us, without discrimination, a culture that protects us from all we create. This is an ever-growing safety culture. Over the years, this culture has grown into a multinational organisation. It collects and shares so much data that we would be only wise to learn from. According to data collected over the years by various bodies, allowing cars and road vehicles to interact with pedestrians in the same space is generally known as high-risk situation, where it is almost impossible to prevent an injury or death from eventuating over time. There is no way to rule out harm. Through the years, many bodies involved in safety have created systems that cancel out the ability for pedestrians to interact with vehicles by delineation of their paths. This means it creates a path in the area that only cars can go and a path where only pedestrians can go. This is the safest proven means for reducing injury, harm to both bodies. At the moment, around our schools in Beachborough, there has been area where both traffic and people are able to interact with each other. Parents and visitors forced to mount the curb due to lack of parking, in turn, people having to stay extremely vigilant to protect their children. Using any footpath adjacent to this activity, we can't always be everywhere at once, and eventually, when all our defences are compromised, someone gets hurt. This is called the Swiss cheese model. You can Google that. It's also documented by DFES. It is illegal to park on these degraded, dead patches of grass we call verges, and the city's first in extreme fire risk events, punishable by a hefty fine. In the case of fire, it could cause harm to people and property. With our ever-growing catalyst of extreme weather called climate change, forces are set to create hotter and more volatile situations. Greater risk. I believe our city should be tasked to negate these problems, as our councils are fully capable of managing and implementing the road and pathway planning that assures a safer and more effective way of traversing our schools, parks and roadways. One of the ways we can improve parking and paths around our schools and parks, in turn, is by removing the long-term maintenance of allegedly already poorly funded maintenance of these strips of grass. For a city to say such a small project is unaffordable or not viable within its council would make anyone wonder. This is just a couple of changes compared to a whole city management deciding on more than 100,000 lives. Incidents resulting in injury or damage to property also affect the price of insurance for our councils. This is passed on to the ratepayer. The cost of managing these verge that are destroyed by parked cars is ever growing, and the council thinks they're going to put up no parking signs. It's not going to be well received. What they are doing is forcing your children out into the road, which then increases the probability harm to those people, and it also blocks up key access on the local streets, such instances. In
Thank
Beachborough
you.
alone, we have 3 primary schools and at least 10 parks or open spaces that need consideration. Community satisfaction with streetscapes and public spaces has been on a terrible decline, and the concern for budget to look after them has been increasing, sorry.
Did you have much more there?
Not too much. Basically, I would urge you to please support the motion to provide footpath access and parking around all schools and parks in Beachborough, and in turn support a change to safer and better usable spaces needed to grow our suburbs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dorozenko. I'll ask you, do you have a seconder? Sorry, it was. Thank you very much, Donna. And I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion?
Lady behind you.
You'd just like to state your name again?
Jane Masugo. Okay, now the gentleman brought up climate change. Now he wants to put in more car parks, more pathways. There's that many trees and like nature reserves and everything already just disappearing in the city of Swan. I think you'd be better off to put in trees and pathways rather than parking, because the more trees, it helps to cool down the environment, and it also helps with the ambience around the place and makes it a nicer environment for children. So I think the idea of putting in pathways, yes, but to just put in heaps and heaps of more parking spots, I think you should be looking at renewing the verges, putting in trees, or make them community verges where they put in like fruit trees and community gardens and have the school children maintain them, things like that. I think that's a better idea than car parks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zucker. I'll ask, does anyone else like to speak for the motion? Just state your name, Joseph, just for the record. Thank you.
Joseph Sorka, Lockridge. So we have the same issues in and this is just an example. We have the same issues in Lockridge, particularly around our parks with inadequate parking and people parking on the verge and absolutely destroying it. And I do also want to acknowledge, you do want to retain trees, but I think there's a bit of a common sense solution where existing cleared areas and degraded areas could be used for parallel parking bays, like on-street parking bays. So it's not necessarily about building a great big car park off the street. It's just, in appropriate areas, putting in embayments that are clear of, don't have existing kind of vegetation. And then, it's a bit of a kind of, I feel, both things can be achieved. But yeah, I definitely think more broadly across the city, particularly the established suburbs are lacking. Because for example, Ellenbrook, if you look at a lot of ovals and stuff, in addition to the on the lot having car parks, they will have on-street embayments. And I think places like Lockridge, Beachborough, maybe even Swanview and Midland and these older places, they don't have them. And they do get very congested with events and stuff. So I think it would be sensible. Just, and, not exclusive to Beachborough, like maybe having a look at all these parks and ovals and seeing, are there issues that need to be addressed there?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sorka. I'll ask anyone like to speak against the motion. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Thank you, Donna.
Hi, thank you. I'll just concur the previous gentleman. This comes back to children's safety. This comes back to the safety of our children, our grandchildren, etc. And nothing is as more important than it is vulnerable within the community. I concur with a simple drive around the the schools within our suburb will show that there's lots of verges space there that aren't maintained. No trees need to be removed in order to improve the use of those verges for both parking and for the children being able to traverse those areas. A simple drive around at beginning and end of school and any of the events, you'll see cars parked on top of each other, on verges, in people's front yards, doubling up on sites. It's a nightmare waiting to happen. One of our children will be killed sooner rather than later, and I certainly don't want to be, involved in that occurring. So anything we can do to improve is to our advantage.
Thank you very much, Ms Morgan. Now, we've had 3 speakers for, so we're now going to, one against. Would you like your right of reply?
If I could add to that, yeah. The areas which I have been looking at and around the schools and parks that we have do not have any trees. They're reticulated. They have services and power lines. They can't be used for planting and such in certain areas due to drainage. If anything, the development of the parking spaces would be part of the planning. It would include trees in between everything. At the moment, people have to park on the road and the road gets blocked. Kids go on the road, they get pushed around. Like there's nowhere for people to go. And the cycle of destruction, which we're paying for, is people park on the grass, the car kills the grass, you water the grass. I mean, last year, I can't remember how many thousand litres we pulled out of the ground to water sand on our dead parks. Like, I think there's a bit of give and take there when I say wherever you put these car parks, there's nothing growing there. And we could add to it by including trees in between the car parks, if we wish.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Back up on the screen. Yep.
That's on.
Yep. I just had a look around to see the
Yeah,
size.
that's one there.
I want to see what it looked like physically. I haven't turned around yet.
All right, let's put motion, all those
No,
through.
so there are, just need to put, sorry, yes, we are. Just put your hand up nice and high. Those in favour? $20 and anyone against?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
At 7. Thank you very
8,
much.
8,
Nope, we
8.
made that
That's
8.
Yeah.
So it was 8 against. Thank you very much, Mr. Dorozenko. Now we move to motion number 16, which is Mr. Humphrey Bogart, Henley Brook, Swan Valley Ratepayers and Residents Association. Is he here tonight? Was that put into an email?
Okay.
I think I need a authorisation or delegation
Yeah, to move his
authority.
motion. So,
Can we move on?
we've got to go through, we've got another 6
So
till
we'll
to go.
consider that at the end if we've got time. Thank you. All right. Yeah. So we're going to move to motion number 17, which is Mr. Jeff Hunt of Guildford.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mayor and councillors. Jeff Hunt here. My motion is that the annual general meeting of electors note concern about destructive tree pruning practices and call on the City of Swan to ensure tree pruning is not excessive. Rather than a one guideline fits all approach, pruning should take into account tree species and growth rates. Tree pruning should be done in accordance with best practice. Tree pruning should be undertaken under the guidance of professional arborists. And C, ensure those assessing trees are independent of those carrying out the tree lopping work.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? There we
Mr.
go. Just trying to remember. Sorry, your name?
Greg Ross.
Mr. Greg. Gresswell.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay.
Thank you. So while we recognise that trees need to be pruned periodically by the City of Swan contractors to maintain security of overhead power lines, recent pruning in Hugh Street, Guildford and other parts of Guildford has left trees looking mutilated with diminished canopy in the middle of summer, when canopy is most needed. A line of trees in Hugh Street is left totally unbalanced. And all the previous work that has been maintained with these trees has been totally undone. Previous contractors have actually maintained guidelines and only pruned where necessary, particularly within the power line heights. All the undercover height and the canopy width has all been in guidelines. And I spoke directly with the contractor. Unfortunately, it was on the last tree that was decimated. And the facts that he told me about his guidelines were totally false to what the real guidelines were. So I think we really need to change this.
Thank you very much. Now I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? There's no one for or against. Already called. Just already called. I'll pop that to the vote. Those in favour? $34. Is anyone against? No, that's carried. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we move to motion 18, which is Mr. Patrick Irwin from Woodbridge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Patrick Owen from Woodbridge. We move that the CEO approach the Minister for Local Government for advice as to the process for splitting the City of Swan north of Nangara Road from the City of Swan south of Nangara Road and advise Council accordingly.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for the motion?
Francesca Irwin.
And would you state your name, please? Thank you. Okay.
The population growth north of Nangara Road is considerably, is extensive. The growth through the whole city, as was in the report earlier, is considerable. But we will soon be approaching 100,000 people north of Nangara Road. And what we have here is essentially a tale of two cities. If you look around here, we've got 3 cricket ovals off here. In that direction, we have 2 bowling greens. Over here, we have another cricket oval. And behind that way, we have 4 basketball courts. The point here is that the new growth areas, which are considerably north of Nangara Road, obviously not only, but they are well endowed with public open space. They have generally, they are required to achieve 10% of public open space in residential areas. However, in Midland, we were under-endowed with public open space and have lost most of that with the MORM. We are now down to less than 1% public open space in Midland. We also are standing in a lovely new community centre here. In Midland, we had a aged persons facility, a senior citizens facility that had been actually built by public funds, public subscription. The council chose to acquire that Rather than use it for a community facility, it was demolished. What we have is the assets in these established suburbs have been stripped. The land value of the whole area of Midland Oval is of the order of over $500 million worth of land area. So we've lost our public open space and a massive asset which can't be recovered. But here we see in these growth areas, we are achieving, as we should, 10% public open space. Why is it we're having a complete dualistic way of looking at provision of green public open space and facilities? So the reason I believe the population growth in the city of Swan, which I believe is expected to reach 194,000 this year on figures I saw. I know the CEO quoted 180. I think that was as a current figure, but the growth of 3%, we're soon going to be around 200,000 people in the city of Swan. It's getting too big anyway, and I believe we would have better representation for splitting the city. We'd have better equity for the more established suburbs, many of which are south of Nangara Road, and for the growth areas substantially north of Nangara Road. We would achieve better representation for the areas, for our local communities, and I think it's seriously worth looking into. So that's my request for this motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Owen. I'll ask if anyone would like to speak against the motion. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Yes?
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you for this motion. I've noticed over time that the City of Swan has this push and pull between agriculture, large blocks of land, and the new suburbs. And what's happening is we're pushing in the middle here. We're sitting in the middle of it, this luscious valley of greenness. And on the north, there's not a lot, and it needs to be treated differently. And in the south, nothing gets done. Everything's dying. Everything's disappearing. Like, where's all the money going? And I think there's been some discussion about some suburbs wanting to merge with other southern cities because of this discrepancy in funding. So I'm full for this kind of move to try and divide this whole large blocks and small blocks problem that's going on, because it's very hard to tell how much money you're spending on things when you're going to mow 370 hectares of someone's front verge, and my verge is only 20 square metres, you know, and we're all paying what? What's going on? So I totally understand where you're coming from here. I may be a little confused in the details of things, but I can see what's happening. If you drive through Beachborough right now, there's people that have sat there for 16 years and only seen a playground get replaced. And last year, all they did was, I'm sorry, I don't mean to badmouth the council, but all we got was a toilet replaced. But I'm sitting here in a brand new state-funded thing and getting told that there's no money. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll ask anyone like to speak against the motion. Thank you, Mr. Troy.
Someone will come to you, Gavin.
I'm sympathetic in some ways to Mr. Irwin's motion that in time this particular council will be subdivided. His request to do that now is far too early. If you look at the development he's talked about, the new part of the City of Swan, north of Nangara Road, we've now got 80 square metre housing blocks. We've got 200 square metre housing blocks going into Bullsbrook. We'll have slums in Bullsbrook in the future. The underlying problem boils down to this, and this is why I can't support his motion. Since my time in public life, which was 40 years ago, the standard for public open space was 10%. It applied to quarter-acre blocks or 1,000 square metres. You've had a range of developments that have occurred, particularly in more recent years, down to 80 square metres and so forth. You're still operating on 10% of public open space. So when you say 10% of public open space is adequate, it's not adequate on those western suburbs that you referred to. It should have been significantly more. I'm not saying in proportion, but where you get down to average lot sizes within the order of 300 square metres, there's a pretty good argument that 10% should be significantly increased. And if we don't do that, we have a situation in this area now. Look at your daily temperatures. Look at your daily temperatures in 15 years when you've had all those blocks developed with tin roofs and not one opportunity to plant a tree on the block and no compensation in the 10% area to do so. So think long and hard. We've got immediate problems we should address, not break up this particular council at this early stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Troy. I'll ask anyone like to speak for the motion. Thank you. If you'd just like to state your name.
Barbara Dundas. When I read the motion, and I'm not talking about the details of public open space, when I read the motion, it's that the CEO approach the Minister for Local Government for advice as to the process of splitting the City of Swan. Because we have two very different areas, and it's a means of perhaps getting greater representation. I want to say that I support seeking advice on what the process might be to start it, to get that information, and forget about the public. I think that's just muddied the water all the bits on public open space. I think we're really looking at the sort of representation that's needed best for these two really quite different communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dundas. Now, we've had 3 people speak in favour. I'll ask if you have your right to reply, Mr. Irwin.
A simple, in reply, I think it, on the issue of public open space, I think if you look at an aerial view of Midland, I've posted this on my Facebook page, an aerial view of Midland and an aerial view of South Birmingham at the same scale. Now, South Birmingham, which is the area which includes the city, South City and Edgbaston, it's predominantly green. It's got lots of tree cover, lots of ovals, and so does a lot of this area around us here. When you look, there's loads of ovals and parks and trees. There's an area of wooded over here. When you look at an aerial view of Midland, it's all hard surface. There's very little green area left anywhere. That, to me, that's urban heat sink, 101. It's really bad. What we've got is an urban design issue, which is under the control of the City of Swan to a large extent. We've got high R codes and infill development not leaving any room for trees, as Gavin Troy just said. So I think that these are real issues, and I think we need a better way of looking at it. And that's why I'm suggesting that we investigate splitting the City of Swan, because there does seem to be, as I say, it's a tale of two cities.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now put that motion to the vote. Those in favour? I said 18. Thank you very much. And those against? 1, 2, 3, 8, And that's 8. So thank you very much for that motion. So we're now going to move to motion number 19. Ms Anne Winchester from the Upper Swan District Ratepayers and Residents Association. If you would like to read out your motion, please.
Thank you. That consideration be given to upgrading the Bullsbrook Recycling Centre.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Mr. Chris, I'm just going to pronounce it right. Dorozenko, thank you.
Thank you. At present, to offload any rubbish, one needs to locate the correct bin. They are not adequately signposted, although there is one sign on the ground. You need to manoeuvre around the City of Swan workers who most often stand back and watch as one struggles up the metal stairs with rubbish and then walk along the ramp to throw rubbish into the bins. This is totally unsafe and would not meet safety and health regulations. The stairs are slippery in wet weather. They're crowded with other users and dangerous because one may be carrying sharp pieces of tin or heavy pieces of metal. Throwing these items above one's head into the bins without dropping the items and not hitting other people or dropping it on oneself is a safety risk. Other recycling centres allow rubbish to be dropped into the bins, which are placed at a lower level.
Thank you. I'll ask, does anyone like to speak? Oh, maybe somebody wants to speak. Does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Like to speak?
Yes.
If you could just state your name as well, thank you.
Good evening. My name's Colin Dacey. I support the motion here. I'm involved heavily with the men's shed. We have a lot of elderly gentlemen go up to the recycling bin there, and to climb those stairs and try and get some of the heavier gear into those bins. It's absolutely ridiculous. We'd need a box to bring them back themselves. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dacey. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion?
Hi, Jane Masuga. I'd just like to ask a question since I've never been to the recycling. The rubbish tip at like Wirraloo, I think it is, they have an area where people can go and buy materials and things like that. So rather than just dumping it into a bin, does the Bullsbrook Recycling Centre have similar?
Yes, it does. It has a tip shop there. It's a great little shop there, actually. It's quite a lot in there. So if you get a chance to go up there and have a look.
My husband will hope I don't.
You probably will. So there's some good ones around the area. We have Malaga you can't actually buy from there, but our main one is Bullsbrook. So, yeah, if you get a chance, there's lots of little goodies in there if you go on and have a look.
Okay.
Anyone else like to speak for or against the motion? No? Well, we'll put that to the vote then. Those in favour?
Yeah, that's what I got too.
We have 38. Is anyone against? Oh, might be getting an upgrade in the future. Thank you very much for that, Ms. Winchester. Now we move to Mr. Mark Richards with motion number 20 from the Bellevue Association.
Mark Richards, Bellevue. I'm speaking on behalf of the Bellevue Residents and Ratepayers Association, Bellevue Irrigation.
Yes, do I have a seconder? Thank you, Belinda.
Madam Mayor, councillors and staff, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Helen Street is the heart of Bellevue, and a heart cannot function without nourishment. Our parks are that nourishment, and without water, they cannot support the community that depends on them. The small precinct carries the life of our suburb, linking Station Park, Todd Park, the Bellevue Community Club, the Scouts, the Bridge Club, the Arts and Craft groups, and the Bellevue residents and ratepayers. The Bellevue Community Club alone has more than 200 members, and many more visitors rely on this place as their gathering point. Yet Station Park and Todd Park are dry, sandy, and unusable. This is not due to neglect, it's due to the absence of water. Bellevue is the only suburb in the Midland Guildford ward without irrigated open space. This inequity is now impossible to ignore. This pattern has history. When the city sold the Bellevue Oval, residents were told that a portion of the proceeds would be reinvested into Bellevue public spaces. No meaningful upgrades followed, and Bellevue lost its only recognised recreational space with nothing provided in return. Today, the same story continues. Station Park and Todd Park remain without irrigation despite having reticulation in place and despite Todd Park having a bore whose water is diverted into another suburb. Bellevue loses assets, Bellevue is promised reinvestment, and Bellevue receives none of the practical outcomes that other suburbs take for granted. Allocating water to these parks is not only fair, it is long overdue correction to a documented pattern of under-provision. The impact is visible every day. The Bellevue Community Club has invested in property overlooking Todd Park, yet its members and family members, local families, look into a barren wasteland that should be thriving community asset. The Scouts, the Bridge Club, the arts groups, the craft groups, and the residents and ratepayers all operate within metres of these parks that cannot support gatherings, events, or recreation. The lack of irrigation is holding back community life, limiting activity and diminishing the experience of every organisation and every family that calls Helen Street home. Both parks were once watered through municipal systems and the reticulation remains. The city's own planning documents anticipate their use. The infrastructure exists, the need exists, the community exists, but the water does not. Todd Park has a functioning bore, yet its water is sent to Coongamaya, leaving Bellevue without a single irrigated space. Our request is clear, modest, and entirely achievable. The City of Swan should promptly and permanently allocate water to Station Park and Todd Park, either by dedicating the Todd Park bore to Bellevue or supplying municipal water, as is already done for the Mechanics Hall in Bellevue. The simple step will restore two vital public spaces and support the social fabric of our suburb. Bellevue has waited long enough. Water these parks and you restore the heart of our suburb. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richards. I'll ask, is anyone against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? No? There's no one for or against. We'll put that to the vote. So those in favour? Thank you. Is anyone against? No, that's carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Richards. All right. Now we're going to move to motion number 21, which is from Miss Kathleen Klein from Brigadoon. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. My name's Kathy Klein. I'm from Brigadoon, and my motion is to prohibit fireworks in the Swan Valley rural and rural residential areas and adjacent noise impact corridors.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Mr. Winchester.
I'll just briefly, to protect the public safety, animal welfare, mental health and environment in the Swan Valley by prohibiting fireworks in the rural and rural residential areas and within corridors where fireworks are clearly audible and very loud within the Swan Valley. We've had as development has occurred right around the Swan Valley. I've been in the Swan Valley for 40 years. I'm an equine veterinarian and involved in the animal welfare in emergency space in Western Australia. And it's getting worse with development. So we've put this motion forward. It's not just affecting horses, it's affecting companion animals, livestock, wildlife corridors and birds. Veterans and community mental health is now an issue in 2026. And that there's many alternatives now. This year I was in Hong Kong, also in California, which obviously 4th of July is a big deal there. They only have it one day, but here there's requests for fireworks more in our community and right around the aspects of the Swan Valley. There's alternatives to drone light shows and all sorts of ways to celebrate without blowing things up. So I look forward. And I'd just like to thank City of Swan for the first time this council, including the mayor and our councillors out in the Swan Valley, supporting for the first time tracks and trails, and also our road safety campaign out there in the Swan Valley for horses. So this has been the first time that animal lives have sort of mattered. And we're really, really thankful to City of Swan for that participation this year.
Thank you very much. I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? If not, put that to the vote. Those in favour? One, two, three.
Yep.
And those against? We have nil. Thank you very much for that motion. Now, motion 22 was also withdrawn, and that brings us closer to the end of the meeting. We do have a tiny small amount of time. If we'd like to go back to motion number, I wrote it down here.
16.
It was 16, yes, Mr. Humphrey Bogart.
Somebody else is going to move it.
So Ms. Janzek, we don't have authority, so can we or can't we? Can we move without authority or not?
No, she'd be moving it in her own right now.
Okay, so you understand that you're going to move that in your own right now? And in the future, if anybody else was to move a motion for somebody else, they would need written authority to do that before the meeting. So thank you, Ms. Zek.
Thank you. The motion is that the City of Swan staff responses to questions or statements by the public, particularly at council meetings, actually respond to questions and issues raised and are provided in plain speak.
Do I have a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Mr. Dixon Lowe.
I'll be very quick. Regularly, staff responses, both verbal and written, do not address the point and are purposefully obscure. This style of response undermines transparency and community trust. In line with the objectives of the strategic community plan, ratepayers and residents expect a more effective and respectful form of communication to be used. Making long-winded and obscure responses not only insults community intelligence and knowledge, but it subverts the community engagement in the participation process, a process that the city promotes as an important part of its operation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder?
We already got the second.
Oh, sorry. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Mr. Lowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a huge opportunity. If you consider that every question that is raised in council is prepared, is largely researched, and is on the basis of some need in the community and potentially representing a lot more than one person's opinion. It'll save the city a lot of money if the questions are answered correctly and appropriately. One of the things that could happen is that you could reinforce your excellent strategies and policies which are so often overlooked in this, both the questioning and the answering. So I propose that some considerable effort is put into this. In the context of the vines, if I may, would have saved us a lot of heartache and we wouldn't be where we are today in respect to the vines. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lowe. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion?
One more.
Yes. Mr. Hull, was that for?
I think I can speak up, and I'd like to go back to my, back to my motion, and of course the wonderful motion from the Vines. It's a good example of where council and city staff, particularly the city staff, need to be more accountable and indeed responsible and transparent. But I think more important than that is community, and most of us volunteers, put in a lot of effort to prepare these questions, and yet we often get lip service. And I think we need to have what the city is always proposing, community engagement. And are they doing it for that or to quickly answer a question? I think is always the right time to do the right thing.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hull. We've had 3 speakers for, so I will now put that to the vote. Those in favour, if you could raise your green card, please. Thank you. And anyone against? No, that's carried. Thank you very, very much.
All the motions we had
Now,
registered.
these were all the motions that were registered that we had this evening. We have a few minutes left, so I will ask, are there any further motions from the floor? Just taking into account that we do have a 9 o'clock finish for this particular meeting. Yes.
Can I second Deborah Mulroney's motion?
This is where we're actually going to take a motion from the floor. So do you have a motion?
Move it in your own right.
Do you have a motion that you'd like to move from the floor? Do you want to come up to the podium here? And then just introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jane Masuga, and the motion that I would like to have considered is fencing around playgrounds, because as Deborah Mulroney stated, there's only one playground that she knows about that has a fence around it to protect the children and stop them, like, 1, from running into the river, which is at Woodbridge, and 2, to stop them running onto the road. Because, like, as we get older, the grandkids get quicker and we get slower.
They do. Okay, so that's a motion that we would have a look at with staff and try and put some more detail in that and see if we can tease out the details of your motion. But in essence, you're looking at wanting more fencing around the playgrounds, is that right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
there's one
Moving
up
motion
there.
20, no, motion 22. That one.
Oh, for James, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're happy with that?
Yeah, because there's one up
Thank
at
you.
Gidgegan up at Noble Falls, which
Yep.
is right next to that flowing river and that, and there's no fence around that playground. So that's an example.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Oh, so who's going to be the seconder? Okay. Mr. Kristorozinski?
Dorozenko.
Sorry, better pronunciation. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. CEO. Okay, now I'll ask, is there anyone against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Thank you.
I'm very happy to speak for it. There's not too much difference between a 3-year-old child and a 2 or 3-year-old dog. The need for fenced enclosures where there can be safe and have a little bit of run is a good one. And as a 74-year-old grandfather, I fully understand the inability of me to run after a great-great-grandchild, just wander off. So, yeah, I think that's a good... You can't do it with every park, but a couple of little parks here and there, that's a very good idea.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ross. And again, I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion?
And just adding in, I think if we start looking at statistics and cost of living, all of that, and both parents having to work, more and more aged parents, more and more grandparents having to look after grandchildren. So I think the need is increasing as opposed to the others who might say that it's the parents' responsibility to supervise their children. I think that time's long past with the changes in the demographics.
Thank you very much. And since there was no one against, we'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? $36. And was there anyone against? All right, thank you very much, Jane, for that that motion. Now we've come to 8:46. We might be able to squeeze one more in. Is there anyone else who'd like to bring a motion to the floor? Thank you. If you'd like to state your name.
My name's Stephen O'Neill. I am a resident of Ellenbrook. I'm also the president of the RSL sub-branch. My motion is relating to the fact that the area around here has very little available locations where seniors groups and charity groups and all that sort of thing can actually meet in the one place and do their business. We are developing a new memorial at the end of EDOS here, and what we require is a place to store and keep all their gear and all that sort of stuff. So what our proposal would be is to establish a facility that's in this area here that not only houses the RSL sub-branch, but also the cadet unit, which is losing space at the high school at the moment, the scouts, which have never had a home in Ellenbrook in the 20-odd years they've been around, and that's the other thing, is RSL sub-branch has never had a home in the 24 years, 26 years now, 25 years, sorry. So what my proposal is that we find a location or an area in around this part of the Ellenbrook, because it's quite well developed for community kinds of occasions. So developing a facility in this area for us to have our meetings and house the community groups, Lions, Rotary, people like that. They have an establishment, they can have an office with their own space and they can meetings. The one thing with the RSL, with our sub-branches, is we really need a space that we have that we can actually house. We can actually invite people to come along if they have a problem or an issue, where we can sit in with them one-on-one and talk with them about it, and that you can't do at a hotel or anyone else, and it's not the right thing to bring them home to your house and things like that. I mean, that is an option, but yeah. I've had quite a few people call me up and ask me, is there any way I can get some help? And said, well, the only place you can get some help is calling into the central business district to the Anzac House. So we are able to have that facility, and my vision would be to have people who can provide all the information that are required by all veterans and their families, not just the veterans themselves, because families have issues with their veteran family member who's having a problem. So if they can come to a place and talk to someone about it, it gives them an option to come to a conclusion as to how they can help or get them down, the person that's having the problem, down to talk to us as well. So I'm talking a lot of rubbish. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much for bringing that motion to the floor. I'll ask, do you have a seconder? We have Mr. Dacey first, or Mr. Subio. I don't mind, gentlemen. Who would like to be the... Oh, Mr. Dacey was first. Thank you. Okay. I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Mr. Subio?
Thank you. My name's James Eusebio. I'm the media officer for Ellenbrook RSL. I'd just like to say that how important is Anzac Day and Remembrance Day for the people of Allenbrook? Because 24 years is a hell of a long break for us to acquire a sub-branch to house our veterans. And there's about 800 or so, more so, veterans in Allenbrook and the surrounding areas. But they don't come and join us because they all say to us, well, when you have a sub-branch, we'll come and join you then. And it's left to a handful of us diggers to keep the flag or to keep the fire going for Anzac Day and Remembrance Day. And it's the sub-branches that keep that going for all the community. So I'm just hoping that you'll be understanding that we do really need a place of our own here in Allenbrook for the future of Allenbrook. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I'll ask anyone to speak against the motion. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Thank you.
Sorry, I was just told to be quiet, but sorry, I can't do that. I just want to, I'm not from Ellenbrook, but I'm certainly happy to support the motion. I'm an RSL member myself, but I pick up on the conversation in relation to the cadets and the scouts. Having them embedded with an RSL and with the mentorship that goes that's associated with that, I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely 100% supportive of the cadets program, having been involved with instructing myself over the years. The kids need to have somewhere that they feel is home. So having it embedded with something like an RSL, I think is imperative. Our scouts and our cadets are also our volunteers of the future, and we need to do everything we possibly can to encourage that community spirit moving forward.
Thank you very much. As we've had 3 members speak and no one against, we will now put that to the vote. So those in favour? Might need a recount just on that one. If you just put those cards up nice and high. Thank you.
There's a couple of ones.
Yeah.
You're going to come up now with a number that's close to 39.
You had 35? Okay, is that what we had? Okay, so we had 35 and anyone against? Someone against, that's carried. Thank you very much, Mr. O'Neill. There we go. And as it's now approaching 9 o'clock very quickly, I would just like to say a very, very big and warm thank you to everybody that's come out tonight and taken the time to come out to the community to bring those motions forward, to come out and represent the community and the organisations that are here tonight. But more importantly, just to remind you all that we don't have to wait until an annual electors meeting. You can speak to your local councillors, you can email staff, you can email myself. So please don't hang on to any issues that you have until the end of the year. Please bring them to our attention as quickly as possible and we can deal with some of these without having to wait all year long. And I'd just like to say we've got tea and coffee over here on the right and we've got staff here to have a chat and councillors here. And say a big thank you to our staff for putting this meeting on tonight and for the councillors that came tonight. And hope to see you at the next one. So I'd just like to close at 8:54. Yes, Mr. Troy. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much, Mr. Troy. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's been a fantastic turnout. It's quite a good number of turnout tonight, and encourage your friends to come out to our next one. But very good community turnout. So thank you very much, everyone. I'll close the meeting now at 8:55. Oh.